Business management can mean different things to different people. So in this video, what I want to do is share with you some powerful, practical principles of business management that will not only improve your business, but will improve your quality of life as a business owner. I'm going to share with you some tips that you can implement a little bit later once I explain some of these principles. Some tips and some strategies that you can implement straight into your business and start to see significant improvement in your business quite quickly. The content is based on results of decades of mentoring and working with thousands of businesses to improve their businesses long term. All right, so let's get started. So the first principle of business management is something that I learned by studying McDonald's. McDonald's is the epitome of the best success in business I think there is. And the reason why, it's not because of the revenue, it's because of the net profit margin that business operates with. Each individual store tends to have a very healthy, high percentage of net profit on revenue. And to me, that is the practical measure of how well a business is operating from a business management perspective. If you can increase the efficiency of a business, that can be measured through that figure net profit margin. And I encourage you to go and look at what the net profit margin is of your own business. What is the net profit on revenue for the year, and compare that to the previous year and the year before. I like to do this with businesses, and unfortunately most businesses are not increasing net profit margin year on year. Even though revenue may go up or down, net profit margins are typically going down. So that's the first principle of business management I believe that is critical, is what is that and can we increase it? By increasing the net profit margin, it just increases the surplus cash in a business bank account. And with that surplus cash, we can spend more on marketing, spend time or spend some money on employees to free up our time as the business owner. And that is super important. So my principles of business management are about the outcome of optimizing a business for harmonious living, so that we love our life and we don't feel owned by our business. We feel we are owning it. We are in control of it. It doesn't dictate when we have holidays. We choose when we have holidays. We choose how many hours we work in the business. To me, that is the outcome of effective business management. All right, so let's jump in. So the first principle of business management, I believe, is business management is made up of three separate skill sets that we can learn. And these skill sets are nothing to do with an industry. You can work in lots of different roles in lots of different businesses before going into business, but the skills that I'm about to talk about have got very little to do with any job that you can have, except potentially management. So there are three skills in business that I think involve management, which McDonald's mastered over decades. The first skill of business management is people skills. We need to learn how to get along better with people, how to identify culturally aligned, heart and mind focused employees, so that when we're hiring them and recognizing they have that skill before we hire them, not find out a couple of months later. So the first skill in business and management is all about people and learning how to get along with our potential customers, how to retain customers, etc. It's all that skill related to selling, influencing, communicating, leadership, management. The second skill set of management is measuring or understanding numbers. Businesses grow by numbers increasing and improving. So it's really important in management to know what numbers are relevant to a business that we can start to monitor in a relatively short time frame. I call it micro measuring, which is daily and weekly, and macro, which is monthly, quarterly, yearly, etc. So measuring is the second skill of management. The third skill of management is understanding how to create systems that the employees actually want to use. Some businesses have systems, but a lot of the employees are not necessarily using them. And so it's creating systems within a business, digitizing our procedures, our policies, our processes, so that employees willingly follow our systems. And when we combine all three of these, as per this diagram, you can see that there's a synergy that gets created So the people and the measuring relate to each other because people can now see the fruits of their labor. They can see what their performance has been by introducing numbers to tasks and procedures that the employees follow. That gives more meaning to their role. It makes them happier to see how they're contributing to the business through their role. And that's very, very important. People need to feel a sense of meaning and purpose in their role. And so by introducing numbers to employees and showing them how they've gone and how the business is performing, it gives them more meaning and it fulfills them. It makes them happier and more productive. The arrow between measuring and systems is where by measuring, we verify systems are actually working. And we can see when systems may not be used by certain employees sometimes because the numbers show that they're not being used. And so we want systems and numbers and measuring to have a relationship together so that we're seeing that systems are actually working. And then that third area is the relationship between systems and people, where people become like the byproduct of the systems. And so a business isn't people dependent. The people can come and go, but it doesn't really hurt the business. And the people are the ones that are using the systems, and in their role, we want the people to take ownership of the systems in their role and potentially improve the systems. So that's the relationship between people and systems. Now, I could talk for quite a while around each of these three aspects of management and really drill into all of them in a lot of depth and identify all the different skills, but I won't. But what I will do is just share with you the measuring or the metrics skill and deep dive into that a little bit further. All right, so a good way to think about a business is a business has three functions of carrying out its operations. The first one is it needs to generate sales. There's a sales function in a business, and a sales function is made up of generating leads and converting leads into customers. That's one aspect or one function of a business. The second function of business is it needs to carry out the outcome of that sale. If it's a service business, it might be doing the technical hands-on work, electrician businesses, installing PowerPoints, etc. So we have an outcome of the sale. I call that production. So we have sales, we have production, and the third aspect or function of a business is to get paid for that work in a timely manner, which means that people pay the invoices on time. Some businesses invoice before work is even started. Some businesses wait for all the work or all the production to be completed before invoicing. Then they might get paid 30 or 60 or 90 days after that. So these are the three core measuring aspects of a business. We need to look at what are the numbers coming from each of these three areas: our sales, our production, and our cash flow, cash in. And by measuring each of these and looking at these figures weekly, we get a very good handle on not just what the business is doing, but also what the employees in their roles are doing and how well they're doing it. Now, if you think of a business, say, turning over $1 million in revenue per year, weekly, that's around 20,000. So $1 million revenue divided by 50 or so weeks of the business trades is about 20,000 per week. So if we're measuring all three of these aspects of a business, we want to see 20,000 in sales acceptances coming in regularly. That's the average that we want to see, because we have the employees that allow $1 million worth of revenue or productivity or production. Therefore, those two need to be in balance. We need to see 20,000 in sales coming in average per week in order to have enough work for the employees to carry out in production. We also need to be banking on average $20,000 worth of work if we're selling it and producing it. So these become our benchmarks. So if you look at your revenue per year and divide it into how many weeks your business operates, and in school holidays, etc., public holidays, etc., you might only work 46 weeks of the year. Divide that into your revenue, and that's how much you need to be measuring and seeing if you're measuring all three of those aspects of business. What I've found is business owners can be very stressed about the operation of their business because primarily due to ignorance. They're unaware of the fact that they're lacking leads, and then they find out later that they don't have enough sales or enough work for their team to do. So the ignorance aspect of not seeing how many leads need to be generated every week for the business, and what is that in sales income as new acceptances coming in every week, so that way we know for sure that we have enough work for our employees in production every week. So often business owners I've found they are often worried or stressed about not having enough work, i.e. sales, having too much work, i.e. too many sales, or not enough cash in the bank. They're three of the most common stresses that businesses operate with or business owners experience. Stress can be alleviated or dramatically reduced by measuring leads and new sales and sales income every week. It's separate to the production because we get the sale, then we do the work, then we get paid typically. So there's a timeline of events. So we want to be measuring what sales are coming in. We want to be looking at what work have we produced in the week for the wages paid in the week, measuring that as a dollar figure, and then saying, is what we're producing balancing what has come in as new sales? Are we in supply or demand? Which are we in too many sales or not enough sales, surplus or excess, and deficit? We want to know that because then we can do something about it. Then we want to see, are we banking what we need to be banking every week as well that matches what we produce, which matches what we sell. So think of it as like a three-legged stool. It's like a tripod. And whatever that dollar figure is per week, when you divide your revenue by a number of weeks, you get an idea of what that dollar figure needs to be every week. Then when you're measuring it, now you know you have a problem you can do something about. It's far better to know what a problem is and you have a problem, what it is to be completely oblivious and then find out later when it starts to really hurt. So finding out that you don't have enough work for employees the week that you run out of work for employees is extremely stressful. Knowing that your leads have dropped 20% per week for the last 3 weeks may mean, I need to turn on Google Ads. I need to do some lead generation campaign because I don't have enough sales, because I'm measuring my sales and I'm measuring my workload, I'm measuring my production, etc. So by looking at a business this way and as a three-legged stool and measuring all of these and generating figures every single week for these 3 legs, and the figures typically are 6 or 8 figures every week you need to know, that becomes very, very insightful. It starts to reduce your stress enormously because you're reacting to the needs of your business really quickly instead of finding out too late that you needed to do something. And so when a business is understaffed, for example, it will use up more cash because we're paying wages for employees that are not as productive as what they need to be. So running out of work hurts cash flow. Also, marketing that we're not measuring can be burning a lot of cash because it's not working. We're spending money on something that's not working. And there are lots of ways to burn a lot of cash up with marketing that really don't produce any income back or very little profit from it. So measuring is incredibly rewarding, and it's something that is critical for all businesses to do. And when you measure around those 3 legs, our tripod, getting work, leads and sales acceptances, quantity of sales, income from sales, how much work have we produced for the wages paid in a week, what is our gross profit on the wages paid relative to income for the week, what is our gross margin for the week, and then looking at cash coming in, how much have we banked, what's the difference between what's come in and what's gone out, what is our overdue receivables, how many days of income are we owed that are past invoice terms, for example. They're critical KPIs, and by measuring those 6 or 8 figures I just gave you, now you're managing your business. And when you're managing your business this way, you stop being stressed about your business. And what that means is your quality of life increases. You stop thinking about your business at home at night and on weekends, and you separate your business from your life, and you don't just have a work where you're thinking about work constantly. You have a work and you have a life. You come back to work refreshed. You come back to your business refreshed on Monday, ready to start work because you're in control of it. You own it. It doesn't own you. You see what your business needs are, and you see where you need to go with your time. I need to be in sales this week because sales are down. I need to be in production focus this week because production is down relative to sales. I need to be in cash flow this week because we haven't got enough cash coming in from what the numbers are saying. So when we're guided by numbers in a business, it automatically reduces our stress. We just get happier, we get more invigorated, and the rewards are extraordinary. Now, it becomes more and more relevant as your business grows. When you're at 3 employees, it's not so important to be measuring production in cash. Sure, it's important, not as important. Once you get to 4 or 5, 7 employees, it becomes essential to move into management, which is looking at those numbers and those 3 areas of your business: the people skills, the measuring metrics aspect, and the systems. And when you combine all 3 of those, extraordinary things can happen. You can become the next McDonald's business, operating a business with a very high net profit margin, with lots of surplus cash, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank, in surplus or in addition to what you normally have, and you're wondering what to do with all that money. It's a very interesting conversation to have with people when they're asking, Tim, what do I do with all this cash? It just keeps increasing and I don't know what to do with it. It's a really interesting discussion to talk about that. And that's what can happen when you focus on these 3 skills of business. You work on these 3 functions of measuring, harmonize your team, listen to them, talk to them, show them their numbers, show them their KPIs, etc. When you do that, then your team look after your business, and then your business will look after you, and you can live the life of your dreams. If you've liked this content, like this video, share this video, get in contact, visit the website. Happy to have a chat. Thanks for watching. I appreciate the investment in your time.